Wednesday the 24th of January 2018 and I've come to Heathrow Airport today on the tube. Except I haven't, as you can see, I'm at Hatton Cross. On the day that I decided to do this, there's actually been some kind of problem on the line and all trains are terminating at Hatton Cross and none are going to Heathrow, which means I can't start my journey today in Zone 6. I'm having to start it in Zone 5 here at Hatton Cross, but that's okay, the principle will still work. Let's get on the train and I'll tell you what I'm doing. Most amusing was all the queues of people up by the barrier, confused tourists heading for the airport who I got asked 3 times, how do I get to Heathrow? I'm like, get a bus. And there's like hundreds of people queuing for the bus. Okay, so rather unusually, I just got a train heading eastbound off of the westbound platform at Hatton Cross. Never done that before, but it does just mean the only small caveat to my journey is that it means I've started in Zone 5 rather than Zone 6. That's okay, I've used my Oyster card on a dangerously low balance. I've tapped in with just £2.45 worth of credit, and my mission today is to make a really long journey for the cheapest price possible. I was meant to start in Zone 6 Heathrow, I've started in Zone 5 at Hatton Cross. I'm heading for Upminster in Zone 6, and I think I can do it all for £1.50. Made it to Acton Town. I've got to change for a District Line train, which is in 5 minutes. Look, there's a little train. And that, by the way, at Acton Town, used to be platform 5. You can see behind those advertising hoardings, there are some steps down. That used to be where the one-stop shuttle to South Acton used to run, closed in the 1950s. Anyway, today is all about fares and travelling for as cheaply as I can. On the TfL website, if you went to the fares page, there used to be a table, a PDF, that showed you the cash fares, ridiculously expensive, single fares, and then cap prices. That changed recently. There's still a page which TfL have, which is really handy. It's called the Single Fare Finder, and that just tells you the price of an individual journey. But then if you want to look up, say, how much a travel card is, or whatever, the page, the PDF, which had everything on there, is gone, and now there's just a page that just shows you caps and travel cards. You type into zones, say like going from Zone 3 to Zone 6, and it'll tell you how much that is. But the column that says single fares is no longer there. They expect you to use the Single Fare Finder. Let me just get on my train here and I'll explain the rest.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
This is Acton Town.
Someone's left their scarf. The point is, there's now not a handy table that shows you all the cash fares, all the single fares, and all the caps and travel cards on one page. That is gone, which is why I might try and make one myself. If I do, it'll be in the link in the description of this video. But the point is, avoid Zone 1 when travelling on the tube if you can, and avoid peak hours. And if you do, the amazing price that I think some people forget is that you can make any journey off-peak on the tube within zones 2 to 6 for £1.50, and that includes avoiding Zone 1. And here's the strange thing, I had the thought the other day, is like, well, using a combination of the overground and stuff, could you go around Zone 1? Could you make a journey across London from Heathrow, Hatton Cross, where I've started today, to an extremity on the other side, Zone 6, Upminster, and for it only to charge £1.50. And on the Single Fare Finder page, if you type that in, it gives you all the options. The cash fare is like £6, the peak journey is like £5, the off-peak is like £3. This is all if you go through Zone 1. And then, beneath that, it says, but if you go via, and it gives you 2 options to go via Earl's Court, and another one to go via West Brompton. You take the overground round through Gospel Oak, Stratford, that way, it'll only charge you £1.50. So I think I can get all the way from Hatton Cross, Zone 6, Zone 5, avoid Zone 1 to Upminster for £1.50. wet, miserable, rainy day.
The next station is Turnham Green. Change for the District Line to Richmond.
That is exactly what I'm doing, changing at Turnham Green for the Richmond branch of the District Line. It might be the cheap way of doing it, but it's more convoluted because you have to keep changing. Also, by the way, the rounders here at Turnham Green for Bedford Park. Not many tube stations have a or something else in their name. But Turnham Green is why we've gone sideways. I don't know why we've gone sideways. Seriously, I don't know why. Sorry, my camera just did that.
This is Turnham Green.
Okay, made it to Gunnersbury. So what I had to do was touch the pink reader with my Oyster card. That was essential. It actually said enter interchange.
The next train to arrive at platform 2 is the London Underground service to Upminster.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
So, choice. I can either go all the way to Stratford on this train, touch the pink reader there, and then work my way down to West Ham. Or I could change at Gospel Oak, touch the pink reader there, and get the overground over to Barking and get onto the district line there. Either way, I'm going to have a nap for a bit, because I'm tired.
The next station is Bromsbury.
Travelling with London Overground.
I had my nap. I made it to Stratford. The train got ridiculously busy around Highbury and Islington. The whole stretch between Highbury down to Stratford through Hackney is really popular and really busy. But I'm at Stratford. I have to go and touch on a pink reader again.
Please take care when moving around the station as surfaces may be slippery due to wet weather conditions.
My train at West Ham. One more train to get. District Line. Oh, exposure. That's what happens when you get auto. So it's just occurred to me, I've been looking at my tube map on my phone, that I don't need to go all the way to Upminster, which is in Zone 6. There's no point. For two reasons. One, it will save me time if I cut myself short, so I'm going to get out at Elm Park instead, because that's also in Zone 6, so that will prove whether the £1.50 actually works, which I'm sure it does. But secondly, because Upminster is a National Rail owned managed station, not a tube station. It's not managed by the Underground, so it won't have any machines there where I can tap my Oyster card and check my Oyster balance. So I'm going to get out at Elm Park instead, 4 stops short of Upminster, but also just inside Zone 6, which will have a standard classic London Underground
The next station is Dagenham.
machine.
The gap between the train and the platform.
The train is about to move, so I'll check my Oyster balance there. So where am I now? Dagenham East now. So one more stop to Elm Park, and our journey will finally be at an end. And also, I'm going to check the timestamps because it's taken ages. It might be cheaper, but it's also longer. Okay, welcome to Zone 6. We're going to tap out. See what happens. I can already see that it did it on the gate. We'll do the card anyway. It cost me £1.50. So, there's no timestamp on the Oyster readout, but I just played back the footage of the time I got on the train at Hatton Cross, and it was 1:25. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. I think it left at 1:30. It's taken 2.5 hours to get here. So, if you want to go the really long way round to save money, you can travel, all the way across London from Zone 6, Zone 5, Hatton Cross, as we did this morning, across London without going through Zone 6. To the other side of London, off peak, without going through Zone 1, and it does only cost you £1.50 on your Oyster card. Is that really worth it though? There we go, Zone 6 to 6, £1.50.